There's currently a thread on Reddit saying that Mark Darrah has confirmed Mass Effect 5 isn't in true development yet. And first, the poster even says to consider this clickbait because Mark Darrah did not in fact confirm this. He is more talking about the general changes in AAA gaming when it comes to marketing and why games take so long to be made. Darrah's video is also very insightful into how AAA works and why we're seeing so much early marketing these days for games that are several years out. So I highly recommend watching it, but I wanted to touch on this Reddit thread because it may be true, but it shouldn't be surprising. We've been told over and over that the game is in pre-production and that the team has been helping to finish Veilguard, so why anyone would even be surprised about this, I have no idea. They have said several times that a small core team is working on Mass Effect 5, so why anyone would think differently, I have no idea. And this means that any trailers and reveals are still very much from the early stages of this game. But of course that doesn't mean that no work has been made, because obviously the teaser from last year was made in-engine. So they do have stuff in progress. And from what we've seen, there has been quite a bit of work done to be able to make a full scene like this. So while this was proof of life, a great teaser, and a preview of what the game could look like, early teasers like this aren't made just for the fans. They're to appease the publisher and keep the game relevant in conversations. Sometimes it's to prevent the publisher from scrapping the project, which Darrah explains in his video. It's also often to garner developer interest and bring in new devs to the studio. It's less about marketing to the fans and more setting up a secure future for the game, and to show the publishers that investment is still worthwhile. It's the sad reality of the way game development works now, especially with how long games take to develop. Money is, now more than ever, the driving force. So that trailer that we saw back in 2020, yeah, that's probably part of what this was. To keep Mass Effect relevant, to keep people talking about the franchise and BioWare as a whole, and to show that there is still interest in this game. BioWare showing those two trailers in 2020 at the Game Awards was probably something that the studio really needed to do, to show that they are still here and that there's still a passionate fan base, but more importantly, that these franchises can make EA money. I think that's why I take a little bit of the trailer's contents with a grain of salt and see it more of a loose teaser instead of a concrete connection, because it was created at the very beginning of this project. And like Darrah says, often, even though a game is announced, there's a very small team working on it while the studio finishes other projects or works on DLCs, etc. And that's why when Jeff Grubb said Mass Effect 5 could be 5 more years away from now, it seems kind of plausible. Does that suck? Yes. But this game probably will not move into active development until after Veilguard ships, which means production will most likely begin at the end of this year or the beginning of next year. The team is using Unreal Engine 5, so yes, development will be shorter because of it, but ultimately they are making a new game from the ground up. It's going to take a while. I don't know if I necessarily believe the 2029 date, but we at least have a few more years until this game comes out. And alongside this, the N7 Day teasers are also to keep the fans invested, to show that there is a fan base, and to keep the hype around this game. It's also a must. I understand some fans are frustrated about teasers and lack of concrete information, but N7 Day is as much for the devs as it is for the fans. And if you're mad about this, well, I'm sorry, suck it up. The people who are truly being affected by this are the devs, who are under the pressure and risk. We should be encouraging them and supporting them, and one thing I'm always going to be is supportive of the devs. And I think some fans need a reality check on this. Being mad at the devs isn't going to get you the game sooner or make the devs work faster. And like I said, previews being shown so early in advance is just honestly how the game industry works now. Yes, it kind of sucks, but there's a reason behind it. And I've spoken about this several times. BioWare is in a pickle. They've been dealt several rounds of layoffs in the recent years, and their studio is getting smaller and smaller. And while yes, they are hiring people, in total, their studio seems like it's about the size to work on one game at a time, which seems like the case now that everyone is on deck finishing Veilguard. And some Mass Effect 5 devs have been sharing their work on Twitter, and even Gamble has been very active in the Veilguard promotional content. So we know that they are involved. So seeing this Reddit post and the outrage is just silly. Cut the devs some slack. They are very clearly trying. They are trying hard as their coworkers are laid off, and as EA is laying off 5% of their workforce. Meanwhile, their CEOs are pocketing millions. The reality is that this game is a ways out, and most likely is reliant on the success of Veilguard, which I sincerely hope does well. I hate to be a downer and talk about these things, but I don't see a future where Andromeda didn't do well, Anthem failed, and then Veilguard doesn't do well also, but then we still get a Mass Effect 5? I just don't see that happening. Veilguard needs to perform, and as someone who has played it, I think it absolutely will, but that's my biased opinion. My unbiased opinion is that bioware needs a win to keep going, and they need a success for EA to give them the time and money and resources to be able to create Mass Effect 5, which inevitably would be bigger than Dragon Age Veilguard, because Mass Effect has always been the bigger franchise and has the larger fan base. So I really hope that Veilguard does well. I hope that the devs are supported, and I hope that Veilguard doing well means that Mass Effect and Gamble and his team are given everything that they need. Again, watch Mark Darrah's video. It's very insightful, and I think it has the reality check that a lot of fans need as to why things are the way that they are now, and why game development is such a hard industry. With high turnover and layoffs, it's got to be extremely stressful. There is so much pressure. There are no okay games anymore. You either have to be the best game ever, or you're done. So this was just a tiny rant about this post. Fans need to temper their expectations and be realistic about what we're going to be shown in the next few years, and why we're getting this early marketing. It is the reality of AAA gaming. And if you're watching this, you're probably wondering why I haven't made a lot of Mass Effect content as of late. And that is because I'm very focused on Veilguard, but of course I will not forget about Mass Effect. And N7 Day is really not that far away at this point. Okay, maybe 134 days isn't right around the corner, but it's not that far. And I think whatever happens with Veilguard is going to determine what N7 Day looks like. So hopefully we see some bigger reveals and we can get some new information. But until then, I do have several videos that I've been in the works with. They're just on pause right now as everything with Veilguard is coming out, but I promise more will be on its way. And if you do want a sci-fi RPG to look forward to, Exodus is probably a lot closer than Mass Effect 5. I have a ton of videos on it, so if you want some information on Exodus, you can check those out on my channel, and I will make sure that they're linked at the end of this video. Anyways, let me know all your thoughts. Thank you so much to my channel members, and thank you for watching.